You want details? Fine. I drive a Ferrari 355 Cabriolet. What's up? I have a ridiculous house in the South Fork. I have every toy you can possibly imagine. And best of all, kids, I am liquid. So, now you know what's possible. Let me tell you what's required.
Life advice, lifeadvicerr@gmail.com. And our first ever, is this our first ever life advice breakout on video right now on the Ringer feed?
It just went live.
It.
Kyle's
definitely the
dog
most
story.
embarrassing one. Yeah, I don't know if it's the first, but whatever.
I don't know. There was so much. It didn't matter what we did in anything on Tuesday's podcast because once people realized that live in the podcast, Kyle sort of realized that his family may have lied to him about Stoner the dog. It ended up becoming a video and we broke it out. We're not even usually ready for those things. So lifeadvicerr@gmail.com. Speaking of dogs, I know this is surprising. We had a lot of dog follow-ups.
Yeah.
Some people were very, very upset. Not really with us, which I was hoping to avoid, and I thought we were fair about the whole thing. We've even had attempts. I think 2 people reached out about potentially adopting the dog. So
The biter? Nice.
Yeah.
Great job. Can I have your dog that bites people?
Well, he doesn't want the dog to go down.
No,
you know what
fair.
the thing is no one's upset with us because we were very, I think we were very, as we try to be, very pragmatic about a lot of different things on the pod when it comes to the life advice part of it. But people did not like the sister. The sister approval rating is very low, and
She
they don't
didn't
even
come
know
off
who
great.
she is.
She didn't come off great in the email.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So let's go. Arms are too big. Not a joke. Need help.
Awesome.
32 years old, 5'9", 175. You're probably reading the subject line and thinking, wait, what? But here's the elevator backstory. Most high school, college, early 20s, competitive power lifter, weighing at 198, 220, depending on diet discipline. I was pulling 550 plus on straight deadlifts. Romanian, no sumo shit. We love the clarifier there. Squatting 505, pass parallel. All right, strong, really strong guy. 23, 24, I had 385 on the bench and completely blew up my pec. It was a mess, but basically couldn't lift for a couple months. I used an excuse to booze and eat like an idiot as well. That's where I hit 240 and saw a photo of myself and was like, who the fuck is that guy? I'm really not photogenic, and trust me, I'll be like, wow. But again, ESPN PR, I think, went out of their way. They're like, let's make sure this guy never makes too much money. And we'll post this. Go ahead. Cerruti.
I love you, but I think you can make an argument that you're the least photogenic famous person or like person whose face is on things that there is. Like, I don't know.
Holy
like,
shit, dude.
But here's the thing is like it's not like you're a bad looking dude. You're obviously in shape. It's the way that you stand. Like you
Your
you
stance, bro.
No, this is actually a true story. Ryan sent me a picture the other day of him posing with someone else. And
the Carissa picture?
The Carissa picture. Yeah. And I just gave you a couple things. I was like, hey, like hat's a little bit too high. Like maybe move up shirt size. It's a little snug. It's not doing any favors in the midsection. And these are all just things I'm trying to help you out with, but you've just never been good at it. And it's okay. We all have our flaws.
Holy
I had
shit.
a friend that said I should reach out to a smile consultant.
You do. You don't have. Some people don't have like a natural smile. I don't think you have a natural. Like it is what it is.
No, I agree with you. I'm not telling you I'm the hottest dude of all time, but I am. Yeah, I'll see pictures and be like, is that what you actually look like? Like, you should have got married 10 years ago. I can't believe some of the women in your life that have even spent time with you. Like, you're horrifying. And then I may catch a glimpse of myself at the gym and I'm like, wait a minute, you're not as ugly as that guy is in there. I don't know. The most recent picture, though, there were a couple buddies who were like, how big are you going to get? Like, what's going on here? When you say the midsection thing, I'll tell you, I'll push back a little on that. I don't love that comment.
No. I'm not saying that. I'm saying
at all.
The shirt's not doing you a favor. The shirt is not. That's the problem. It's not you. It's the shirt.
Right, but that was like a couple beers in, and the hat's on, like whatever, and it was just I mean, I wasn't like. Some people are trying to suggest I'm a flat bill guy, which is not the case. It's just the 5950s. They're baseball hats. I like the way they fit. They ride a little higher. I'm past the game hat deal. Late 90s, bent to the fucking extremes of geometry. I mean, it's just I'm not doing a Matt Walsh Iowa State. So, but that picture that speaks to the emailer. I was like, maybe you can stop bulking.
Yep.
Maybe you can just.
There is too big. There is such thing as a too big.
It was close to 240 in that one. And again, I'm not fat. I'm telling you right now, I'm not fat, but I'm an ugly fucking kid in pictures. Really ugly. It's great meeting people. And they're like, wait, you're going out with that guy?
Strong as hell, though. So there you go.
He looks terrible. Like, oh, and here's an interesting picture from Wyoming. So, all right. Back to our guy with, he got fat. He has huge arms. All right. Anyway, I said, quit making excuses, start being disciplined. Let's try this whole running thing. 18 months later, I went from 240 to 160.
Holy
Jesus.
shit, pal.
This guy's like,
Dude.
Are you puking every day too? What the fuck's
awesome.
going on?
this is one of those guys that's on some of those podcasts where there's like a life coach. He's like, the problem is you. You're the fucking problem.
You read David
Stop
Goggins'
bitching
book?
about other people's success. Although sometimes I listen to those guys and go, you know what? He's not totally wrong. Cerruti, I trampled you.
No, I
Go
just
ahead.
said he's got some David Goggins, books, and he's got the feed going. I get it.
Shout out Goggins, back-to-backers. By the way, book recommendation, Chuck Klosterman, The 90s, one of the best books I've read in years. One of the best books I've read in years. This guy's email, he's like, hey, I was going to listen to the advice, but I turned the podcast off. All right, so the guy, 240, 160, back to the email. I felt 10 years younger and life was amazing. I started running half marathons and even ultra trail marathons in with some intense elevation. It's how I met my wife. She's a schmook. And more importantly, an amazing woman who makes me a better man. By the way, once the pec healed, I started only doing body weight lifting like push-ups and pull-ups, etc. By the way, after you tear a pec, you can actually, like, depending, obviously they're massively severe, terrible ones, but a lot of times it's just you're going to be weak for a little while. Flash forward to now, we have a 15-month-old daughter. I'm constantly holding her, and she's like 20, 25 pounds. 25 pounds at 15 months? That check out?
Yeah.
None of us have
right.
kids?
Kids grow fast.
Cerruti, get research on that.
Yeah.
That might be true. Again, we're not your go-to pod for parenting. I'll admit the first 6 months of her life, I got a little wonky with the diet. By the way, I think every one of my friends that right away when they started having kids, they just started getting little tires around the midsection. I've gone from 182 to 175, running anywhere from 5 to 10 miles, 4 to 5 days a week. Yes, I know I'm a psycho, but whatever. I bring the running stroller and the daughter loves it. All right, well, that's cool. Hey, man, I love that you run like this. The problem and advice I need help on. With constantly holding my daughter, my arms have gotten massive. My waist stayed at, he's got a 29 waist.
Wow.
But he's got arms that match his physique at 200 pounds. My shirt looks like I'm in schmediums. So
Yeah.
My buddy's even giving me shit with photos of the way my shirt looks. Hey, sounds familiar. I know you're probably thinking, buy some bigger shirts. However, I work my ass off to get to this completely new wardrobe, and I don't want to toss these shirts. I also have some insecurities about gaining the weight back. I'll admit that. Do you have any advice to shrink my arms, or do I suck it up and get my clothes? Oh, I'm the last guy to ask about shrinking arms, okay?
Wow.
So I don't.
This has been an all-timer.
I think it's a shirt thing. There's a lot of shirt options, man. There's so many different companies out there that have different cuts, and they're mixing a little spandex, and
I'd argue
it'll
there's too
work.
many shirts now. There's too many different clothing
Shirt
apparel
bubble?
companies. There's like, there's the one that like hides the dad bod, that shirt.
shirt bubble.
They used to be.
It's
The first year I did College Game Day in 2008, the guys that were in charge of putting the show together, I think to be fair, you could say weren't ultra marathoners. And so they decided to get shirts that they would like. And we come out with these fucking canopy bowling shirts. Like they were enormous. And I remember just like classic McShay. You guys think I was bad. McShay first day, he's like, I'm not wearing that.
Yeah.
I was like, we're supposed to wear it. We're all on the show. He's like, I'm not. He's like, I'm not wearing that. We look like an
I respect
asshole.
that.
Yeah. He's like, bowling shirt? What the fuck is that? He's like, it goes down to my thighs. Like, I'm not wearing it. And I was like, oh, we're supposed to wear it, Todd. He's like, go ahead. Didn't.
Do you,
Guy,
bro?
guy showed up in a Brioni and some pressed slacks the next day. So I think this is a shirt thing, because here's the other thing about arms. It's a genetic, like all of the different body parts that work for us, that don't work for us, things that you wish were bigger. I'm not trying to get PG-13 levels here, but I had a buddy who I bartended with. He was one of the most unhealthy people I've ever met in my entire fucking life. He just had huge arms. He just had big arms. And if he worked out, they got enormous, because that's what was going to happen. So, I mean, eventually, I guess you could stop holding your daughter. But, I mean, think of your options here. Stop holding your daughter, or just go out and research the shirt world and find something that's got a little bit more of a cut in the upper torso area. That's just, there's, again, maybe I shouldn't have picked this one, but we spent 30 minutes on it. So I guess now we're invested.
We better follow through, man.
Yeah.
Well, I will say I looked it up. the average weight of a 15-month-old is between like 21 and 23 pounds. So she's a little on the heavier side.
Well,
but
she
like,
bulks. She bulks too, just like her dad.
Yeah,
so genetics. That's what you said.
Probably came out heavier.
But real quick, there's no way that he's getting bigger because of his daughter. There's no way that's true. I'm sorry.
Seems like the guy knows himself. I don't know.
Yeah, this guy's an ultra marathoner, Cerruti. No offense, bro.
He's getting too jacked because he's picking up his baby daughter. That doesn't make any sense. That makes no sense to me.
When's the last time you picked up a kid?
Not anytime recently. Years, probably.
I had to carry a kid, I don't know, a couple years ago. And I was like, this is awful. And then
but is he like holding her straight out? Like, what? There's no way. Like, if you're usually you're like cradling them in your body, right? You're not holding the baby. You're not doing like deal. You're not doing like
this
biceps.
This is like a curl. This is like a curl, though, right? If you're doing this for a while.
Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe tell me I'm wrong. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong.
Well, I think the biceps are just engaged.
Yeah,
that's fair. So that's what we're talking about. That's kind of what you want. You want that engagement. But this guy doesn't want it right now. So all right, stop picking up your kid or buy better shirts. Next one.
Bang.
Blocked by a podcaster, 6 foot, 190, 31 years old. Probably not me. I almost never, ever block anybody.
I know who it is.
Wow.
There's one guy who blocks like everybody. Actually, there's a couple, but there's one predominant guy who blocks everybody.
All right, let's have your guess.
It's Bomani. They have a whole like unblock Bo thing. He blocks everybody. And nobody even knows why sometimes.
Yeah, we talked to him about it. We had him on the show once. We tried to get to I think we did something. I'd like call him and explain the segment, but he was cool with it. It worked out. Anyway, I guess he does block a lot of people, but that's not who this is. So good guess though.
Wow.
6 foot, 190, 31 years old. Pick up Hooper when I can run around my infant twin's schedule. Don't pick him up. Describe my game as Al Horford-esque minus the size and general athleticism. All right. Big podcast listener, but over time, it basically whittled my listening to a short list of business investing pods, you guys, and one other. Oh, so we're down to 2 sports. This life advice is regarding the last one. Won't share his name, but let's just say he used to play for the Rams and his co-host sells slums in the Virginia area on the side. He's not going to like that real estate criticism. After discovering this podcaster on your pod a few years back, I really took to him and even been an ardent listener to his podcast. I went to go follow him on Twitter and he's blocked me. So you didn't even know you were blocked. And then you went to go, hey, I like Chris Long's podcast, and you were blocked. So they were talking about Chris Long's pod, obviously, and the real estate agent. I can only assume that I said something dumb to him back in my college days. Do you think so?
I want to know what the tweet is so bad.
Do you think maybe? Because that's what I always love is when somebody will say, I'll see it play out a little bit. I honestly don't care who you block. I don't think we need a fucking announcement about it all the time. It's like, oh, I blocked so-and-so. Like, oh, amazing. Cool. But almost every time I've ever seen one of these, it'll be like, I don't even know I was blocked. Then everybody else in the thread will go search that guy's mentions and they'll find it in 10 seconds. And it'll be like
a horrible thing.
You're a fucking loser. And I wish your family burned.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh,
I was just kidding.
I did say that.
Yeah, that guy's 86. That's what I like about the block. He's never coming back to this bar.
It's all right, Twitter, dude.
So he thinks he said something dumb to Long that had to do with Cortland Finnegan and Andre Johnson.
Oh man, he needs to give us his handle. Did he give us the handle? Because I could look this up right now.
I can give you his name, but I'm not going to do that on the podcast. So here's the thing. He goes, I don't know what I said, but I think it might have been Cortland Finnegan and Andre Johnson. And then he said about Chris Long, he goes, it's mostly Eagles in my morning jacket tweet. So maybe I'm not missing that much. But for some reason, it has me feeling down.
That's not even true.
So he's like, I really like this guy, but I probably pissed him off. And it was probably about this, even though I can't think of anything. And by the way, his content is even that good. So I don't know. I don't know what to do now. So I guess the question is, how do I approach getting this person to unblock me? Not doing any of the things you just did. Statute of limitations for annoying, not bad stuff has to be like 5 years, right? Yeah, I think that's true, though. You said something about that, but here's what you're not going to understand. Chris has never thought about you more than the second that he read your tweet and decided to block you. Like, he is now moved on with the rest of his life. He's on kid number 2. A lot of things have happened for Chris Long since this incident of 5 years ago. He's thought about it we can't even register how short that amount of time has been. So, an adult would just let this go, but apparently I'm not there. Wow, what a save with that sentence. So I actually really like this email now because I thought it was funny. Because he just can't get past it. It's just this gnawing thing. It doesn't mean anything. It shouldn't bother you, but it does bother you. I'll talk to him for you. I will give him your name, and I'll see if I can get you unblocked. But if you start firing off shit like My Morning Jacket's overrated, I don't know what to tell you, man. I can't fix it twice.
I don't think you should fix it
At all?
I think if you're like mean and not like funny disagreeing with something, if you're like just mean to people on the internet and that's how you spend your time, that's how you get your fucking kicks, then fuck you. Sorry for the cursing. I know I told you I was going to try to stop, but that just got me fired up, man. I don't like it. I think you should be 86. I think you should be 86 forever.
I was kind of on the other side. I was like, should there be a stat? Should there be like when you block someone, like they unblock them in like 5 years? That's a terrible idea because then some of them are actually terribly severe and they're bad. So it's a bad idea. But I do think like if you say something really stupid, like there should be a scale of blockage, right? If it's just like a dumb thing that annoys you and Chris blocked him like years ago and it was really just like, hey, Cortland Finnegan and Andre Johnson will kick your ass, dude. I feel like that's like 2 years, right? That's 2 years of blocking. And then after 2 years, you get unblocked.
So like a whole department at Twitter for being like, all right, handing out sentences?
System.
I don't know. Twitter's added like 3 features in the last 2 days. So I actually kind of like this. I think it should be some deal where it just expires. So after 3 years, you don't realize that the person becomes unblocked. So you block them, 3 years goes by, and then they're right back in the mix. So there could be 2 tiers of blocking. Obviously, all the terrible stuff like
permanent blocking.
Yeah, like the stuff Toronto Raptors fans would say. That would be a lifetime ban.
Fair.
And then there can be this other category where you just hit the block button, but it's like parole block.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, you know, whenever that start date is, then they're sort of back in the mix. That's a little bit more adventure to the whole device. I like this. I think you just invented a great new deal. They can't get an edit button going on over there, but Why not this? Why not 2-tier blocking?
Yeah, it's like a timeout. You get put in Twitter timeout a couple years. You do a bid for a couple years, so you come back and you're a new guy.
I love when I see that I'm blocked by somebody who I don't follow. And it's like they must have had a moment where I said something where they went like, oh, this guy. And it's like, well, you're not even on my radar. There was like 2 prominent CNN people that the only reason I even knew that I was blocked was because there was a video that came out. And then I was like, wait, why can't I? And somebody be like, oh, this is amazing. Or this is terrible, depending on where you're at.
You can't see it.
Yeah. And then I couldn't see it. And I was like, what? And then I'm like, wait, this guy blocked me. I'm like, I didn't even know who he was. But I think it's because they have a complete misunderstanding of like where my head is at on a bunch of different stuff. And, you know, to keep it right down the middle, I wouldn't go on CNN or Fox News. So there you go. Not that I'm going to be invited anytime soon because I'm not super interested in having somebody in charge say something and then pointing out what they said doesn't sound cool because we could just do it all day with both sides. So there you go. But yeah, that's always like you're like, wait, what am I? I'm blocked. I'm like, oh, wow. I was like, this guy. All right, cool.
I don't like that you guys are like, oh, there's no consequences. I told you my favorite bar, my childhood buddies band going on 10 years. And like, why should that happen? And you can just all of a sudden be like, oh yeah, sorry, I was a complete asshole. But I think maybe we should have rules where that after I was an asshole for a long enough time, then it just will pretend it never happened. I don't think so. The stakes aren't high enough.
Kyle?
The stakes aren't high enough. No. I do. Like, there's a bunch of stuff. Like, I've got all the stories. We've basically been doing this long enough. There's really no more good stories until they pop into my head with some weird situation. But I wouldn't do that stuff now. But all that stuff that I did and got in trouble for and was questionable behavior, I don't think any of that is worse than like taking time out of your day to like really try to like turn the screws on some guy on the internet that's probably making something that you watch. Like, he's probably doing something and you're probably go there to get it and consume it or whatever. And then you're taking the time out to turn the screws in. Fuck you, buddy. I don't know. I just don't know why you would. Kyle, I don't know why you would take your time to do that and then think that like, oh, well,
here's the thing though, in the past, those people are probably like, there's some fucked up shit in their life that's making them do that. They're probably not super well adjusted to begin with. So
no, but look, there's definitely like one group that you go, hey, I don't know if that group can be fixed. But the other group that I think like is just daily about it, I think it'd be an amazing reality show. You could just title it something, I'm not successful yet, ... And then you find people to be like, oh, you've got 80,000 tweets and you actually don't work in media or like anything. Oh, okay. So you really like this website. And then you go through it and you're like, oh, so you're just criticizing literally everybody else is successful all day long. We're like, okay, now let's turn the lens around. Because my guess would be that it's not an absolute, as I say all the time, there are never absolutes, but I would say the large majority of people that spend all day fucking with people on social media aren't exactly like the most desirable hires in their field.
Probably not.
All right.
Fair.
All right. Okay. I think we covered a lot of stuff today on the podcast. Please subscribe. Thanks to Kyle and Steve, as always. Simmons and I on Sunday. And next week, we've got, I think, the WeWork creators for the TV show. We got F1. We got a bunch of different stuff. Obviously, basketball start cranking up here too. So I'm excited. Thank you as always. Please subscribe.